EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed under the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.
Hello and welcome to this episode of EduTech Guys Radio, brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative and Hope Public Schools, both located in Hope, Arkansas. Good afternoon. I am David Henderson.
And I'm Jeff Madlock.
And I'm Greg Moore.
Awesome. Today, we're going to be talking with Richard Byrne, author of the freetechforteachers.com blog, among lots of other things. And we're going to talk to him about some of the stuff that he does, where he's going, what he's doing, and also talk about Apple's new stuff, among other things. So we appreciate everybody out there tuning in to radio.edutechguys.com.
Hey, also make sure you check out www.edutechguys.com. You can find a comment at the bottom. Let us know what's going on. Also, follow us on Twitter at EduTechGuys. Right now, we're following the Twitter feed, so if you'd like to give us a question or two, especially for Mr. Byrne, let us know.
Yeah. And
that's what's going down out there. So, also today, we'll probably discuss a little Google Apps at the end. We always like to throw in a little extra Google Apps near the end. And for the special featured guest artist for music today, Greg's going to sing the Byrne song. I'm just kidding.
This is news to me.
We will have a featured artist
Surprise!
coming up, and that will happen. Today, like David said, if you're an educator, then you've definitely gone past it at least once or twice, and that's freetechforteachers.com. It's on my RSS feed, so that's how I know what's going on everywhere. And I probably at least once or twice a week, retweet or push out something from there.
Yeah.
And that's why we reached out to our guest today, and I'll go ahead and let him introduce himself.
Oh, hey, thanks, guys. It's great to be on the show with you. So, Richard Byrne, I was a high school social studies teacher for the better part of 10 years, and I also worked in special education a little bit. And somewhere along the lines, I started freetechforteachers.com as a kind of a side project. It came out of a workshop that I went to. I had to make something in the workshop, and I made a blog. And one thing led to another. 10,250 blog posts later, here we are.
Awesome.
That's pathological blogging right there.
That's exactly
I think the busiest year I ever did was about 1,700 blog posts in 1 year. Now it's kind of tapered off to about 1,200 to 1,300 blog posts in a year.
Oh, it tapered off.
Slacking
Slacker. Jeez. Wow, that is phenomenal.
I think you run like 60,000 daily hits, don't you, on that one site on the Free Technology for Teachers?
Yeah, in the last month we had about 1.1 million page views. So whatever that number works out to be.
Wow, that's awesome.
Amazing.
Jeez.
Average.
You run a lot of other ones. There's iPadappsforschool.com, AndroidForSchool.com, and PracticalEdTech.com. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And Practical EdTech is more just a once a week kind of wrap up of my favorite tip of the week and kind of a summary of everything else that I wrote during the week on Free Tech for Teachers. I had a lot of people who would say, I love your stuff, but I just can't keep up with all of it. So in January 2014, I just started Practical EdTech and said, well, I'll just send out one thing a week from that. And so far, about 7,000 people have subscribed to that email list. And I've been consistent with just sending that out on Sunday night. It's a good weekly wrap up or a way to start your week, depending on where you are in the world and how you look at it.
Sure.
And most recently, I've joined a group called Mind Rocket Media Group, which is headed up by Stephen Gilfus, one of the original founders of Blackboard, and we're working on developing media around storytelling of people, places, products in the education market space, helping to get out the good word about what people are doing in education. I just joined them in late June, actually June 29th. And so that's another one of the many things that keeps me busy, along with teaching some part-time classes for pre-service teachers and teachers who are looking for continuing education credit. So Yeah, so that's how I spend my days. It doesn't seem to be enough time in a day generally to get everything done.
Yeah. Time is like a basement. The bigger it is, the more stuff you just shove in it. So.
Yeah, it really is. It just doesn't never seem to have enough.
What was that website? The new one you just joined. What was that address again?
Oh, so the new company I'm working with is called Mind Rocket Media Group, and the biggest property of it is a website called EdCircuit. I'll just put it in the chat here for you.
Okay, cool.
It's edcircuit.com. And on that site, it's more editorial than it is how-to. Free tech for teachers and practical ed tech and all my other sites have always been very focused on the how-to, and the EdCircuit, which is owned by Mind Rocket Media Group, is much more an editorial type of piece.
Right.
I wrote something yesterday for it, kind of breaking down 3 different scenarios for spending a small technology grant. That was based off, I get, as you might imagine, I get a ton of emails in the course of a week.
Yeah.
And one of the themes that I get a lot, particularly this time of year, is I have a very small budget, $2,000 or $3,000 for technology in my classroom. What should I buy?
Sure.
And I generally don't like to make purchasing decisions or purchasing recommendations because I tend to think, oh no, if someone buys something on my recommendation and then they don't like it.
Right.
Right. Yes.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So in that most recent piece, I kind of broke down 3 different ways that you might think about spending a small grant that you got for your classroom.
Right.
That's cool. Yeah, you just want to tell people, look, I'm the free guy. Remember, I don't spend money. It's free.
Not move the monies.
So this year, what do you think is the hot topic, the hot piece? Is it, it's always project-based learning. It's always that kind of stuff. But what's the one that you're seeing from ISTE to now? Because ISTE is kind of the thing that scrapes the scab off of it and then it bleeds freely. That was terrible.
This is why we don't. This is why we don't let him
Leave the
talk.
metaphors to
Not
me.
on the screen. Yeah. So what do you think the hot topic this year in public education is? Education.
Oh gosh, I'm seeing a ton of stuff around the maker movement, maker space. Anything with Raspberry Pi, Makey. These little things here. Little Sphero.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the Sphero robots.
The new Sphero Spark that's clear, so you can see how the things work inside it. Yeah, I mean that sort of thing. I'll tell you, one of my big misses in the last year and a half or 2 years has been on augmented reality. I got super excited about augmented reality. I think everybody did, and then we all realized, maybe it is quite as utilitarian as we hoped it would be.
It's one of those things that takes the software is still lacking. The hardware is getting there, but the software, it's still pretty rough.
Yeah, but I think I just love programming. I always give the story of the first time I willingly stayed after school was in 6th grade when we had Logo Writer. Now I'm dating myself.
That's okay. We know.
That's okay.
Well, at least 2 of us know what you're talking about.
I'll sit here and play innocent.
Yeah, so I love Logo Writer. I still love anything where kids can design a program and see it come to life.
Sure.
I think that's the biggest thing. Anytime you can build something and share it with an audience, that's what gets me excited. And at ISTE this year, if you walk around, particularly in the poster sessions or the playground areas, we saw a lot of really neat ways to do that.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, that seems to be the big one that I've noticed is that can we make something? And kids really get into that. And then I think that leads right into the programming.
Right.
And then they go, hey, I want to code. How do I code? Let's code.
And there's so many more ways to program now or get kids into programming than never before. I mean, just look at when the iPad came out. How long was the iPad been out now? 5 years?
Something like that.
Something like that. But when that first came out, you really couldn't do any programming with it.
Right.
But now you can. Now there's, go in the App Store and you can find a half dozen apps that kids can use to design programs.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
No, go
ahead.
Well, one of the questions, and I'm not trying to move us forward, but I always try to move us forward.
You always.
One of the questions I like to ask, and we'd like to ask everyone, is for teachers that we run into day to day, the main issue is how do I grade it? So I know you didn't want to talk about project-based grading, but that's one of we were just talking about creating rubrics for teachers so they would understand better how to, that's the hardest part for us is the classroom teachers are so set in their ways. Don't listen to that classroom teacher.
Or just intimidated. There's because it's a steep learning curve whenever you get started. So, and whenever they're so busy with everything else that's going on, it's a big hump to get over.
Yeah, and I think one of the challenges one of the challenges I ran into when I first really got excited about using various technologies in my classroom, particularly when we started to be able to, like really make stuff, like make a video or make a program, things like that. It was really easy to get sucked into, wow, that's really neat, that's really cool. Look at what they made, and kind of forget about, did they learn something that was relevant to my social studies curriculum, right?
Sure.
And so that's kind of the reason why in most of my blog posts I try to give some kind of indication how a particular tool will support your learning objectives,
Right.
Support your curriculum a little bit. And so I think in terms of grading, grading is not my favorite topic in the world to talk about, but I'll talk about it.
I'm sure students everywhere would just jump up going, "Oh man, I love grading."
But I think like anything else, if you can, identify what it is that your students need to be able to demonstrate by the end of your project, your unit, whether that project is a two-day project or a semester-long project, and then go back and look at, okay, I have a toolkit of 12 tools that I feel comfortable with, and my students feel comfortable with. How will those support the project, support the outcome?
Right. Yeah.
Rather than going, oh look, the kids made a video. Now how do I grade it? How about what do I want them to show? And then if they use a video for it, great. If they write a program for it, great. That's kind of
right. Exactly. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So they did it. Period. That's
right.
just
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And I think the best example of this that I can give is with my honors U.S. history class. The last group I had for a full year. I had an honors U.S. history group, and a lot of those kids were 17 and 18 years old, and they'd gone through school with the expectation that to get an A, I do exactly what the teacher wants me to do, right? And I'm going to have a rubric. I'm just going to follow that rubric to the T, and I'm going to get an A. Right. And I rocked these kids' world by saying in the first month of school, all right, here's what you need to be able to prove that you understand by the end of the month. Go.
And they're like,
well, wait a minute, you got to tell me what to do.
I need to
and I was like, well, I've already shown you how to make a video. I've shown you how to make a PowerPoint that doesn't rely on 95 bullet points. I've shown you how to make a podcast. And you're 17, 18 years old. You probably know a thing or two about the computer as well.
Right.
Go
ye therefore. Exactly.
Right, and it's kind of a mind shift for the kids too, and just mind. And some of my kids did great with it, and others were scrambling until the last day to go. Okay, I can do this now.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's cool. I'm going to shift gears and let's quit talking about grading.
Sorry about that. I won't bring it up again.
We went down the rabbit hole.
And I was specifically told not to do it, and I did it anyway.
Look at you. All right. But one of the things that I want to talk about that kind of ties into this, especially on the teacher side, as I was looking through some of your stuff, it really piqued my interest, is the practical EdTech summer camp that you had this past summer, and I'm ironically have the computer in front of me and I'm not actually looking at that page. And I could quickly. But anyway, this was the third time, I think, if I remember right, or maybe the third one's coming up. No, that was the third one. So I did read enough of that to understand that it's 2 days of having teachers come in there, and they come to Portland, Maine, which is awesome. I mean, holy cow. How do we sign up for that, first of all? But what I really want to ask about is what is that? What do you cover there? What do the teachers walk away with? That type of stuff.
So that's the Practical EdTech summer camp has kind of evolved over the last 3 years. The general idea of it is to be kind of a primer on using technology in the classroom. And it's based on a framework that I've developed over the years. I call it discovery, discussion, and demonstration. And so 3 ways to think about using technology in your classroom. And the most basic being how do you get kids to discover information that they wouldn't otherwise find? How do you teach search? We start out the first day with how do you teach search strategies? How do you become a better researcher yourself? Then we move into looking at how do you use technology as a tool to facilitate conversation and facilitate a deeper investigation. Now that we have found some new information, how do we move that forward? And so that gets into a bit of blogging and podcasting, and then the entire second day is devoted to that demonstration piece, and that's when we get into making videos. I had people that spent a good chunk of their time on the second day making podcasts. I had folks that were, it's really kind of open-ended. We had folks that were really into Google Maps and Google Earth, and so we looked at how do you tell a story with a map, which is a foreign concept to a lot of people. If you're not a social studies person, you often think, oh, Google Earth, Google Maps, that's not something I'm going to use.
Right.
There's actually a lot of things we can do with that. In fact, I had a GIS expert come in for an hour, and he talked about some of the various ways you can use it in a math class and in a science class.
Yeah.
That you wouldn't necessarily explore. So really that second day of it is really designed for teachers to have some time to work and collaborate. And I think that's the feedback that I always get is that's the best part of it.
Sure.
Is that time to collaborate. Because it's one thing to go to you go to a conference like ISTE or you go to your state conference and you kind of go through the program and like, oh, I've got 45 minutes in this presentation.
From one thing to the next.
And but you don't really get the time to try it out and have me hovering over your shoulder if you get stuck, or have that time to nudge somebody next to you. So that's where that came out of. It's been a success. I cap it at 25 people every year so that I can give everyone time, and I've had assistants that have come in. A good friend of mine, Mike Morrill, who has an MED and he's a social science guy. Sorry, not social science guy. So he covers kind of the science stuff for me, and we have a good time, and we eat well too. No one's ever complained about the food.
That's awesome.
Hey, that's awesome. That's a key part of that, man.
So, do the kids stay overnight and stuff like that, cabins and things like that?
No. This is all adults. This is all
it's all adults. Yeah.
This is all teachers. The reason the summer camp part of it came up because the first 2 years I had it at a resort. Outside of Portland, that had hiking trails, and there's golf course and all kinds of that stuff around. The problem was it's really hard to get to the resort. This year I moved it into Portland proper, right in downtown Portland, 1 block from the waterfront, and that seemed to be a lot better.
Cool. Then we're definitely in.
Well, my next question was going to be, since it's limited to 25 folks, is there like a selection process you go through, or is it just it's the first 25 who happen to hear about it and pay?
Yeah, pretty much the first 25 people that commit to being there get in.
Cool.
This year I started advertising it in February. Actually, the last 2 years I started advertising it in February, and there's a early bird discount to get in early. And every year there's been a couple of people who have had plans change right at the last minute, so before, and then there's a waiting list, and people have jumped in that way.
Sure.
If you really beg and plead, and there's 25 people and you want to be the 26th, I'll probably let you in too.
That's awesome.
You just told everybody that.
I'm the 26th person.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna have 200 million number 26.
We're gonna tweet the heck out of it.
Yeah, that's right. B26. That's right.
So yeah, we're gonna get you some other sites. So you're gonna be traveling the country doing this same thing every week. It looks like.
Because you certainly don't have enough going on.
Yeah,
that's right.
You're not busy enough.
No.
That's right.
So
I am thinking of doing it in Seattle and Phoenix next year as well.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
See, that's
Phoenix because it doesn't want to go to the desert in the middle of the summer,
Yeah.
That's always fun.
Don't
always
stay
fun.
outside long.
But it's a dry heat.
It's a dry heat.
That's right.
Right.
So Google Apps, big fan. I know you're Google certified, so yeah.
Big fan.
Yeah, we've been really impressed with what they're doing with it lately. It's Google Class is growing leaps and bounds. It seems like to us. And
it is.
Do you find you see a lot of schools? A lot of schools are using Google Apps, right? GAF. Google Apps.
Yeah, it seems to have really taken off in the last two or 3 years. It's really taken off, and I think part of that is that for a long time. So when I started using Google Apps, I was what I'll call a rogue user of Google Apps in my classroom.
Sure.
The school didn't have Google Apps for Education. It was 2007. I just had all my high school students sign up for a Gmail account and say we're going to use Google Docs, and that's how I went about it.
Right.
And I know a lot of other teachers around the country did that too. And I would go to conferences and talk about using it, and there was always the question of, well, is Google going to steal your data, or Google's going to do this, or Google's going to do that? And I get a lot less of that than I used to. I think people are starting to understand more of kind of how the cloud works and understand more about data privacy. And also, to Google's credit, they've clarified a lot of things too.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah, and I think once we've kind of hit that critical mass where the cloud is not such a foreign concept anymore. I mean, very rarely do I see anyone with a thumb drive. I mean, think about 4 years ago, if you went to an EdTech conference, how many thumb drives did you get?
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yes.
I don't get any anymore. In fact, I had to find one the other day to go to Staples to print off an 8x10 color glossy photograph, and I with circles and X's and arrows on the back.
Yeah, you're definitely in education. We love our circles and X's. And highlight all of this.
Yes.
That's great. We were talking about that in this Bobcat studio we're working with the kids on, is that they're using their iPads to do all their video and sharing all their video to Google Drive, because we have unlimited storage, and then pulling that up on their editing machines and editing all their stuff together. So, I mean, whoever thought we'd have unlimited cloud storage in education?
The fact that we'd have internet fast enough to actually pull
and there's
the video up and down.
That's the big one.
That's the other piece too. Is the infrastructure to support using the cloud is improved leaps and bounds. And, we don't. I very rarely go to a school anymore that doesn't have that kind of capability to support.
Yeah,
kids.
I remember not that long ago, we just had 11.5 megs spread across the entire district, and that was it. And that was like 3,000 people trying to squeeze out through 11.5 megs. It was not pretty. It would have not worked so well for the pushing of HD video up and down back in those days.
I have more than that in my house.
Exactly.
Right?
I had 50 megs up, and I had 50 megs down in my apartment at the time. So I'd go home to download drivers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So, rest of the year, say someone wants to see you. Where's Richard going next? What's your big thing coming up?
So the next place the next month and a half is pretty busy for me. So next week out. So the next place I'm going is Ponoka, Alberta, which is just south of Edmonton, Alberta. From there, I will be going to Georgia. I'll be speaking in Georgia at Vicki Davis's school, Cool Cat teacher. I'll be speaking at her school.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll be speaking at the Colonial Tech Conference in Delaware in the middle of October. I'll also be speaking in Iceland at the end of October. And then the beginning of November, I am at a conference in Chicago, followed by a conference in, I want to say, Alabama.
Wow.
All over the place.
Yeah. So that's the
you have some time to remember that one.
Exactly.
I have it on a whiteboard behind me.
Wow. So you're going to be at Vicki Davis's school. That should be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, teacher.
Yeah, Vicki's a lot of fun. I'm looking at my calendar now, so now I am curious where I'm going. Arkansas. It's Arkansas, Alberta, November 8th and 9th, and then.
So you're here in Arkansas?
You're going to be here in November?
Yeah.
Where at?
Where? Yeah, where?
Well, if it all goes well, it is going to be. Now you guys are putting me on the spot because I just.
Your calendar just says Arkansas. I'm going to the state.
Well, no, but my whiteboard just says Arkansas. I have to actually go into my
Or sorry to put you on the spot like
we
that.
didn't mean to do that, man.
Cool.
It's all right.
There's the whiteboard.
There you
yeah,
go. That's all right.
So now I spell Arkansas correctly in my my email to find it.
Hey, so I have a question while you're looking for it. Twitter. What's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is RM as in Michael Byrne, RM Byrne. My dogs have Twitter accounts: Morrison Byrne at Morrison Byrne and at Max Byrne.
Awesome.
They're not so good at tweeting.
That's great.
Not really bird dogs then.
No.
Oh, that was. We get a lot of that on this show.
Normally it's me.
Yes.
It makes me sick.
Lot of bad puns. A lot of bad puns.
Hey, well, I'll definitely throw that out there. I want to follow him at RMBYRNE. And then the dogs, Morrison Byrne and Max Byrne. I want to follow those on Twitter also. I'm going to add them.
Hey,
you know. I have to put my 2 dogs and my cat on there, so there you go. So
they can follow each other.
Yeah, they can follow each other. They tweet with Lee and Sasha the Fever's dogs, the Common Craft people.
Yeah.
Their dogs Twitter too, so we the dogs tweet back and forth.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So everybody, even dogs have Twitter now, and I
That's
don't have
right.
it. I see that
You are way behind.
It's time
way
for you to have a
behind.
Twitter, Greg.
It's just now.
Well, when you find out when you're coming to Arkansas, let us know. 'Cause
Absolutely.
we'll definitely blow it up and let everybody know that you're going to be here. Unless it's a private thing and you're doing it for a school.
In which case, we'll blow it up and make sure that everybody knows that you're going to be here.
Yeah.
It is a public event. I just need to remember where the heck it is. Now I can't find it in my email. That's not great, but it's on my whiteboard, so I'll figure it out between now and November 8th.
Well, and the crew, everyone that wants to find out, can definitely find out from freetechforteachers.com. Is your calendar schedule up there also?
It is not, but I do publish a list from time to time of where I'm going to be, which is a great idea. That's probably what I should do this weekend.
You're like us. We have 75 things each. We
Right,
need
exactly. It's like, oh yeah, that one thing from the time. Yeah.
Contrary to popular belief, I do all my own tweeting and Facebooking and blog post writing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's all me.
No ghostwriters, huh?
No ghostwriters. If no one replies to your email, it's because I didn't reply to your email.
Oh,
That's awesome.
that's what I need. That's the excuses we need to start making. Oh, we've got ghostwriters for our email.
Yeah,
We'll
That's
chase
it.
them down.
That's why no one replied.
I will disclose I do have an assistant that does take care of some of the mundane things,
Sure.
like telling me where in Arkansas I'm supposed to be going.
Oh, that's right. We're mundane. We're not worth personally checking
That's
up on.
awesome.
No.
That's awesome.
Hey,
She
Richard.
is, she's in charge of making sure my calendar gets filled in and that I actually send out the paperwork that I'm supposed to send out, so I can get paid.
That's right. That's an important part of that.
That's what I have Greg for. So that's
Yeah, that's why we never get
get
done on time.
and we never get paid. Hey, I want to thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I'm glad to meet you face to face.
Yeah, absolutely,
And
man.
I have
That's
to tell
awesome.
everybody that's listening, you are a great guy. You're hilarious, and I'm super impressed that you do all of that on your own.
No
That's
kidding.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Now we feel like lazy bums.
Hi.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Hey, I do what I can.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, it's really interesting. I just want to make a great comment here. You're turning out, like you said, 1,300 blogs a year.
That's phenomenal.
Holy smokes, man. That's amazing. And the books and the other websites and the travel. I'm very, very impressed, and it just shows our teachers that are listening, educators that are out there, hey, even if it's just your 30 kids in class that are reading your blog, hey, it's 30 kids that are reading your blog.
Right.
So that's a really big deal, I think.
Well, I'll just add in this last 2 bits because you just brought up, when I started the blog and I was just looking at my first blog post, I just looked in the archives the other day. I had like 12 views ever, all time.
Yeah, it sounds like some of the blogs we've
so
every now and then.
and the advice I always give is, write your blog like your mother's depending on the update to make sure that you're alive.
Right.
Like if you don't update it, she's going to call and wonder if you're alive or not. Or someone else in your life is going to wonder if you're alive or not. So, just be consistent, update it consistent. You don't have to update it 5 times a day like I do, because goodness knows that's a breakneck pace.
Exactly.
update once a week. Just be consistent.
Right.
And that's the most important thing.
Awesome. Well, cool, man. Well, it's been great having you on here. We sure appreciate you taking some time out of your very busy schedule to show up here and come visit with us. And hopefully we can have you back on air again. We may be able to sneak in and catch up with you when you figure out where you're going in Arkansas.
I will definitely let you know. So,
cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. So, hey, that was awesome.
Hey, that was cool. That was a lot of fun.
That was one of my favorite interviews so far. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
It's really neat to know that there are hardworking people out there making a difference,
Yeah, absolutely.
Knocking it out.
Well, and one of the things that I've enjoyed really about many of the folks that we've had on here is that they are still educators, but many of them have moved out of the classroom to do other things,
right.
but are still grounded in the education they started with. And I think this kind of goes along with what you were saying before, Jeff, about if a teacher wants to start up a blog, start it. And just post, and like Richard said, be consistent. You never know. It may turn into something that you actually decide, hey, you know what? I think I'd like to do this, and I can make money, going around sharing my experiences with other schools, sharing my thoughts, doing keynotes, doing presentations, doing in-service at other districts.
Right.
And that may be something that somebody out there listening is like, yeah, I think I like that idea.
Right.
Yeah, I was dead serious when I said that I'm just super impressed.
Oh yeah,
super impressed with that. That was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. So hey, listen, our podcast is now on iTunes. So if you'll head over to iTunes and take a look, you can find EduTechGuys. All you got to do is head to iTunes podcast, search EduTechGuys, and you'll find our shows there. Right now, we're slowly populating those with past shows, and you'll find this show immediately on there. Also, if you'll head over to www.edutechguys.com, you will find the podcast there. You can find them at the bottom right-hand corner if you want to jump to the podcast page, and you can stream them directly live from the site if you would rather do that. So, hey, listen, you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com. I'm Jeff Madlock. I'm here with Greg Moore and the lovely, as ever, David Henderson.
I was waiting to see what you were going to say.
We're going to take a quick break here, give you a quick promo, listen to one of my favorite songs from one of our past featured artists. You guys know I love this guy. I love Nick C. So we're going to listen to some more Nick C. Yeah. And so stay tuned. You're listening to EduTechGuys.com.
Join EduTech Guys live from the 30th Annual AESA Conference in New Orleans, December 2nd through the 5th. We'll be providing day-by-day coverage as we talk with presenters, attendees, and members of education service agencies from around the nation. Get rid of the noise and listen to the music with EduTech Guys Live, December 2nd through the 5th. Brought to you by Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative, Hope Public Schools, and the Association of Education Service Agencies.
When your eyes they gaze upon me, and your silhouette is near, all I will ask of you is to love me down, down, down. When your mercy is all around me, and your poetry is clear, all I can ask of you, will you love me now, now, now? Though I love you more than words can say, no, I ain't throwing that away, no, just was warm sunlight. And all I will ask of you is to go all night, night, night. Oh, I love you more than words I can't say. No, I ain't throwing that away. No, just love me, just love me, just love like you wanted to. Well, just love me, just love like only you know too. My love, nothing can stop us now. No how. Our love is endless with no bounds. I vowed a love like death was my friend. Just love me, just love me, just love like you wanted to. Just love me, just love like only you know too. Yeah, yeah, baby. Just love me, just love me, just love like you wanted to. Just love me, just love like only you know too. Yeah, darling, just love me too. Like you wanted to. Just love me, just love me.
How did you like that fade out?
Oh.
And we do this without a net. Or Frankie, for that matter.
Oh.
We can't help it. We're funny guys. Hey, so listen, welcome back to the show. You're listening to radio.edutechguys.com, coming to you live from Hope High School in Hope, Arkansas. I'm Jeff Madlock with Hope Public Schools.
I'm David Henderson with Southwest Arkansas Education Cooperative.
I'm Greg Moore with Hope Public Schools. And why are we introducing ourselves?
Well, I just thought you might be tuning in, might want to know. Normally we come to you from the Southwest Arkansas Educational Co-op, but today we were coming to you from the Bobcat Studios inside the lovely Bobcat Studios complex here on the thriving 640-acre campus of Hope Public. I'm just kidding. We're at Hope High School on the second floor in the Bobcat Studios. So
We employed the gypsy methodology of recording studios. It's just like, hey, let's find a room.
That's
somewhere.
right. Where can we plunk down and plug in?
Exactly.
And that's where we turn on and you tune in. I think there's a motto or something
Somewhere in there.
sounds like it.
I don't know. What's the motto with you?
Hey, there's some
You've been hanging out with me way too long.
some really cool stuff. Really cool stuff happened yesterday with Apple.
The Apple.
Yes.
And we
big.
thought we might discuss it here on the show today because it's some big stuff. I think it's some big stuff.
It was a pretty big announcement.
It's a pretty big announcement. They jumped right in with the Apple Watch, and so
Watch OS 2.
that's
Yep.
cool, and it's a little improved operating
So yeah,
system.
now developers can write apps that run natively on the Apple Watch, whereas before the apps would run on the iPhone, and then basically their display would be sent to the Apple Watch. But the brains were handled on the iPhone. Now they can actually develop native apps that have access to the digital crown and the sensors and that sort of thing.
The
Very cool.
brains.
The brains.
So yeah, and then they jumped immediately into the new iPad,
Yeah.
which is the iPad Pro,
Yeah,
12.9 inch.
Why don't they just say 13-inch? I mean, it's okay. Admittedly, it's Apple. They love all their. It's 5.56 millimeters thick. It's
Yeah.
like, it's all of 0.02 millimeters different.
Well,
from
here's
like-
the thing. If they said 13, then someone would come back and measuring it or looking at the specs and go, it's just 12.9.
I suppose, but still.
You know.
But yeah, so 13-inch iPad. I think the question here is, does that, since this is EduTech guys and not just plain old tech guys, do you guys think that the iPad Pro has a place in education anywhere? So it's bigger, it's faster, it's got better hardware, it's got the pencil, which is don't call it a stylus. It's the pencil.
The Apple Pencil.
Yes, exactly. It's got the pencil. It's got a keyboard. What are your thoughts on this?
Let
me put you both on the spot. You know,
well, I think any tablet definitely has potential use in education. I really liked the idea of now having not just the stylus, right? I mean, we've seen styli. Is that what the plural is? I don't know. Stylus is. I don't know. Anyway, we
Styluses.
Yeah, I don't know. But of course, they had to be pinky finger tip wide, because of the
big rubber tip on it.
Yeah, exactly. Because of the makeup of the sensors in the panel itself. And now, literally pencil point, and then by them adding the Force Touch or Touch Force or
3D,
whatever.
What is it? Touch 3D.
Well, the 3D Touch is on the mobile, is on the phones.
Right.
The exact same technology on the iPad is called Force Touch or Touch Force or whatever.
I don't think it's actually been added to the iPad yet. I think they actually skipped that on the
Pro,
iPad.
I
don't think it's on the Pro either. They said it was the updated screen on that one. It's got faster refresh rate, so it'll track the pencil tip better. But I don't think it actually has Force Touch or 3D Touch or.
Yeah. Don't you remember the guy was drawing and they were painting?
Yeah, but
that's actually the sensor in the pencil.
Yeah. They actually did not add it to the iPad Pro yet.
Yeah. So that's why for those of you who haven't watched the keynote,
people like to use the iPad to draw.
No, we've got Johnny Ives on the show.
Well,
aluminium.
Too many pixels for the aluminium to handle.
Oh
my gosh.
No, I think they left it off, but but that's why you can only use the pencil on the Pro.
Right, exactly, because it's got the Pro has in addition to the capacitive touch layer for picking up fingers, it has another layer underneath it which picks up the pencil, but that's just position. The actual pressure is handled by the pencil itself, which is why if you look at the tip of the pencil,
I'm gonna respectfully disagree.
He's gonna we gotta go.
Well, and maybe not. I'm just thinking, during the presentation they were showing the screen with the layers, and was that not?
I think they were talking about the touch screen technology, about how it was being tracked. Because that's the whole reason of having an active pencil.
I don't know.
We're just debating this on the air.
Okay, listen, we're going to move on. So, yeah.
Then we got into a knockdown drag out.
Anyway, they also came up with the eye chainsaw. And it's responsive to certain limbs, and it knows if it's pine or oak. And no. So, yeah, listen, but no, seriously, about the iPad Pro, that's pretty amazing. The acreage is amazing.
Yeah, 13-inch.
And the ability to show the two apps side by side with that kind of
that makes it
space.
much more viable than a 10-inch.
And if they can pull off the Apple Pencil can pull off 80% of what they show that it could pull off, and now and in the future as apps further are developed to handle it, that's going to be a game changer. I think it's a really neat game changer. I was impressed to see Microsoft there. Because even Microsoft wised up and said, yeah, we want to be on this device too, because it's pretty cool, and they're smart. I mean, they know that their apps are going to look beautiful.
Oh yeah.
Side by side and full screen.
Plus, if they can sell their apps on their Surface, and if they can sell it on the iPad, it's just that much more money.
Exactly, double the money or whatever.
But I think in education, this is not a one-to-one device. I don't believe this is one of those. That, Now, I truly believe, yes, it's. At its largest, 128 gig is $949, and if you add the keyboard, it's another $169.
And if you $100 for the pencil.
If you add $100 for pencil, but you're still right under $1,200 for, in my opinion, a viable machine for any college student, anyone that's looking for a machine to do some hardcore work on and be creative and be productive. That is amazing.
Well, and I think that's the key in terms of what Apple is doing, especially as we're talking about the Pro in education. I think that's going to be the key. Now, yes, even right now, students can edit video and make music and all that kind of stuff. I think by just the fact that you now have a larger form factor,
more space.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that it'll edit
3 streams of
3
4K.
streams of 4K video. I mean,
we were all watching this keynote, and whenever they said that, we were all just immediately gobsmacked. It was just
yes, and I would like to say I stand corrected. The Pro does not have that. It was the phone that has the.
You dare question Greg Moore.
I know what I was thinking.
Hey, this guy Greg is a walking compendium of knowledge. So, no, but I believe that has now put into place something that is I'll say it because it's a Surface killer. It's a laptop killer. It's a Chromebook killer. It's a netbook killer. Because no, it's not going to be a $200 Chromebook.
no.
But you're not going to take a Chromebook to school at college and study in certain fields and be able to do what you think you're going to do on a Chromebook
Right.
in college.
Right.
Particularly
Absolutely.
if it's an art field where you have to draw or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and not just art, but
just the
when
medical
they
stuff.
show when
Right.
they were showing that 3D medical stuff.
You're not doing that on a Chromebook.
No.
And you're not doing that on a MacBook.
Right.
Not yet. Not currently.
Not
anyway.
currently, but why would they? They've got a 12.9
Exactly.
inch, 13 inch iPad Pro out there. There's the interesting part. In the business world, they now have a device that is one of those devices. I mean, you can walk in with that iPad Pro on a one-on-one sales call and hand it to your client or sit it right in front of you on the stand and
Right.
show them an amazing Retina display presentation with 4-speaker sound, and then pull up 2 apps next to each other. Here's our spreadsheet showing what you're going to get, and here's
Right.
blah, 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 and here's our
Right.
wireframe of your website right next to the graphics that we're going to do for you. I mean, yeah, you're going to be hard-pressed to find a device you could use like that. And I think in education it's going to find its place too. I mean, if every teacher had an iPad Pro,
Yeah. Well, at that point, we decide, okay, do we want,
Do you want a MacBook
Do you
Air
want a
or do you
MacBook
want-
Air? Do you want an iPad Pro? Do you want?
what do you want? Do you want an iMac on your desk? You want a Windows machine? What do you
All
want?
of the above.
What do you want? And then there was the Apple TV, which that revolutionized
Oh man, that was
entertainment.
awesome.
That's the Apple TV is crazy cool. I truly don't see a need to put that in the classroom yet.
Again, yeah.
Which is great. So if you know how they like to do, I love the iPhone. So the iPhone 6s comes out, and now the iPhone 5s is free on contract.
Right, exactly.
So does that mean now that the current Apple TV is free? Because it was $65, and
That would be nice, but I don't think so.
Listen,
I'm
we're
going to
just-
go with no.
Yeah. For every 3 iPads you buy as a school, we're going to throw in an Apple TV. But the Apple TV, the original Apple TV, still viable.
Oh, yeah,
as a
because
classroom piece.
Heck, most of the time, the way we use it in education, you aren't using the apps on the Apple TV. We're just using it as essentially an AirPlay receiver.
Right.
Are pulling up YouTube on the Apple TV.
Right, yeah,
or
basically
something like
that's
that.
the 2 big
PBS.
things.
If you're not using PBS on the Apple TV,
PBS
you're
kids,
crazy. But yeah, that's some really great stuff out there. But yeah, I think Apple really showed the world that they're pushing forward really hard and really fast at this point.
I would say guardedly that there was definitely some super wow factors, and then really there were some things that are really sort of
Evolutionary rather than revolutionary.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
And
You
that's,
know, we were talking off the air a while ago, and that was one of the things that we brought up. Jeff and I were talking, and then kind of sucked Greg into the conversation. But in terms of today's generation of students of kids, really up to I would say, close to Greg's age. There have been very few just flat out, absolutely revolutionary things.
well, yeah, otherwise it wouldn't be revolutionary. You know what I mean?
Greg and I are old enough that, frankly, the way things have been changing, almost anything that comes out is up until I'd say the last 5 years or so, has been truly revolutionary.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else has just sort of been an update to what's already there.
Right.
And so I think there were definitely some major leaps in evolutionary terms.
Right.
Evolutionary.
We didn't grow any extra legs, but we got some cool spots.
But yeah, there you go. All right, we'll take that.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, so Apple had some really cool stuff, and I think we'll see more of it. So next Wednesday, April.
April. Wow.
September.
Wow.
September.
Time travel.
September the 16th, iOS 9 will be rolled out.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Oh, and that's going to be
You can
so
start
great.
ordering your iPhone S, iPhone 6S, and 6S Plus this Saturday, the 12th, pre-order.
Mm-hmm.
I think those start to ship September 25th, if I remember.
4th, I think.
24th, something
Somewhere
in
in
there.
Somewhere in there.
November is when the iPad Pro will come out.
Yeah. El Capitan comes out September 30th. It
Yep.
was revealed in that
Yep.
fun little Easter
email
egg.
yeah.
The email that they
the
popped up,
sneaky
and
one
everyone,
that is-
did you see that? It's
So
That
El
was
Capitan will be out. What that means for a lot of us is don't update too quickly.
Yeah,
Want to
the
make sure and check that your
version
apps
1 will be
and
bugs.
your
That's
software.
That's right.
that you're
Wait
using-
for El First Mato.
Exactly. But there's a lot of educational apps out there that might not work on the new version, and it's also applications for the Mac OS X that you want to check on and make sure you're not crippling your teachers and your staff by
Right.
and your students one-to-one by upgrading too soon.
Right.
So some really great stuff coming down the pipe.
Especially in iOS 9. I mean, the iOS 9 for education in particular is going to be so great because it adds stuff like, in the past, we haven't been able to control, we haven't been able to push out centrally, okay, update all of our iPads to a new version of the OS. So we had to send out emails and beg and plead and go, okay, please take all your iPads out of the cart and push the button. And,
Right.
and in the teacher's defense, that's 30 iPads you got to take out and stack somewhere and
Sure,
press the button.
sure.
And, these don't have charge because they weren't plugged in all the way. And it's cumbersome. So now we've got that, and we can just push a button and say, okay, whenever these come online, update to the new version. And Apple has changed before, the biggest complaint, and often what has caused other schools to move from Apple iPad devices to Chromebooks or what have you, is the fact that software deployment on iOS has been rough at best, because every kid has to have an Apple ID, or there has to be some sort of Apple ID signed in on the iPad, because you push applications to users, not to devices. And in iOS 9, we can finally push applications to devices. And so at that point, we don't have to worry about, okay, does little Timmy in first grade have an Apple ID, and did he sign in, and did he forget his password? And oh, no, this is actually his sister's account, and
That's a game changer, really.
It really
It's
is.
a huge game changer for us and
No
for everyone
kidding.
using iPads one-to-one. And we can't not talk about the iPhone 6S. It's funny that it's just an incremental increase, the S increase.
Yes, just the S.
Because they made a huge jump, in my opinion, with the iPhone 6S, especially with the 3D Touch and the Force Touch stuff that they've added.
Yeah.
The camera.
It's weird they didn't call it why not a 7 this time? So obviously 7 is going to be
That's
crazy,
else.
yeah.
It's a body change. So
True.
Invasion of the body snatchers.
there'll be a little lipo and some stuff like that. And
It'll be
they'll upgrade it.
0.03 millimeters thinner.
But yeah, that one really shot. I was real impressed with the iPhone 6.
6S, yeah.
The 6S, thank you. Because it's now shooting 12 megapixels and it's shooting 4K video.
Yeah, 4K video.
Holy smokes. And
Get
that
out of
new,
your phone.
the
Yeah.
live photo thing.
Yeah, that's
very
really cool. For those who didn't watch the keynote, live photo is basically whenever you open up the camera application and you're getting ready to take a picture, it takes a couple of pictures beforehand and a couple of pictures afterwards in a very rapid fire burst, so that whenever you're looking at the photo, you can press and hold it and the photo actually animates. So it's got a little bit of life to it. It's almost like a little tiny video, almost like what is it, Vine, that does something like that.
Yeah.
Except very much shorter. And
Very much. Yeah, this is like less than half of a Vine.
Right, exactly. But it behaves like a photo,
Right, right,
So,
yeah.
And then they announced that Facebook would be supporting this, so that you could post these sort of photos to Facebook and that sort of thing, and that's cool. So, we got phone. We covered the Apple TV. Covered the new iPad. That's pretty much everything. Am I missing anything?
I don't think so. I think we've
Pretty
Covered it all?
Covered it all.
Hey,
we
let's
beat
talk.
this horse.
So you're listening to radio.edutechguys.com, coming to you from Hope, Arkansas. This is Jeff, Greg, and David, and we're glad to be here with you. About to wrap the show up, but want to throw in one more thing.
One more thing.
one more thing.
One more little squiggly bit. So we're big Google Apps for Education
Oh, yeah.
proponents, I would say.
Oh,
we
yeah,
we all think
absolutely.
it's wonderful. We use it personally for EduTech Guys. For our endeavors here, and we use it in the school system. If you're not using it, you got problems. So listen, so every week, every month, there's some great stuff that comes out on Google Classroom. And this month, September 15th, some really cool stuff. It's Share to Classroom with Chrome. So now students and teachers can use the Share to Classroom Chrome extension to share web content to their classes.
Oh, sweet.
That's very cool.
So teachers can use the extension to instantly push web pages to all students in a class.
Oh, sweet.
Nice.
Or create an assignment or announcement in the classroom. So that's a really neat. So you can head over to the Chrome Web Store and get that extension to share to classroom with Chrome. That's what you'll look up, and it'll allow you to do some really cool stuff there.
We should probably push that out to our teachers. We'll just push it out from Google Apps.
Yeah.
And have it automatically pop up in
And
Chrome.
go ahead and there's something we don't use Chromebooks here.
Nope.
In fact,
currently.
we're probably going to add a few just for certain areas that
so
we
we can
want to
explore it and make sure that we've got a good
homebound
idea.
students is very interested us to use Chrome that
Yep.
way, so we use the Chromebooks for that. But what's interesting is most people don't know that we can administrate penicillin. No, administrate. We can administrate Chrome once it's rolled out on our devices.
Right.
Say a little bit about that.
So if you're using Chrome in your district, in your Google Apps district, you can actually push extensions to Google Chrome, or you can block extensions on Google Chrome. We've had a couple of extensions pop up here that we've had to block, mostly related to VPN and firewall circumvention, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Those are always
getting around your network.
Exactly.
Yes.
Those are always very popular. And so that sort of thing is actually really handy. So if you find an extension that you really like, and if your school is a Google Apps school, you can contact your tech department and say, hey, could I get this pushed out to our teachers to see, because I think it'd be really handy. And that's a very handy feature.
That's very cool.
Yeah, it is. Yesterday we were talking about Tunnel Bear, which is another VPN type
Right, exactly. Firewall circumvention.
Chrome extension. It's funny that they allow those into the Chrome store.
Well, outside of education, they do have valid uses.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to look like I'm surfing from Belgium. So, listen, I guess we're going to wrap this bad boy up. It's been a fun day. I've had a really good show. Those who are watching us on Periscope, thanks. Hey, be sure to catch us on the Twitter at EduTechGuys. You can also catch me at jmadlock. That's MADLOCK. You can catch David in ARC on Twitter. Make sure you hit our website, www.edutechguys.com. You can find the podcast link there to iTunes. All the show notes that are popped on there from the notes and the crazy stuff we've written down as we've gone through this whirlwind roller coaster ride that we call the radio at edutechguys.com. And you can also hit the bottom and leave us a comment. Please get in touch with us. Let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and what you'd like to hear. Hey, I'm Jeff Madlock.
I'm David Henderson.
And I'm Greg Moore.
Have a great one.
You've been listening to EduTech Guys Radio, radio.edutechguys.com.
The opinions expressed on the site and its programs are those of participants and not intended to and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of any specific educational entity, sponsor, company, state, or government agency.